Hey everyone, welcome to Limitless Radiocast, episode 50A. We're hanging out with Jay Pages at 4th Degree Black Belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu out at Tempe, Arizona. We get into all kinds of great stuff in this episode, from Jay's background and how BJJ got its hooks in him, to where he was laying out class schedules for martial arts training at a young age in school. We talk about all kinds of stuff in this show, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. This show is also brought to you by AI Wellness, Limitless at checkout for a discount on all kinds of supplements like creatine, protein, daily vitamins. Check them out. Great products ran by great people. Also, check out M&H Beans, located in Stark County, Ohio. They will ship coffee everywhere, all over the world. Some of the best coffee you will ever taste. Also, please go out there and check out RollAmongUs.com and BattleBomb.com. Get a discount at checkout for some amazing gis at Roll Among Us and some awesome CBD and non-CBD rub at BattleBomb. Please check them out. We appreciate all of you. Now sit back, turn that volume up, throw those headphones on, and enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Hope all of you guys out there are doing well, taking care of yourself, and doing what you need to do for yourself and for your family. So we have an awesome guest in house with us today. We're hanging out with 4th Degree Black Belt Jay Pages. He's the owner and lead instructor at JPJJ MMA Academy in the beautiful state of Arizona, Tempe to be exact. Jay has won multiple medals at the highest level in jiu-jitsu and is also highly trained in other martial arts, as in judo, karate, catch wrestling. If people don't consider that a martial art, then you've never done it. He's also fought in MMA, and we'll probably ask this, undefeated still. Yes. Still. Yeah. Jay is truly a student of the martial arts. Thanks, Jay, so much for hanging out with us, man. We appreciate it very much.
For sure.
I appreciate you guys having me. This is awesome. I love chatting with people about jiu-jitsu. I've done a bunch of other podcasts, jiu-jitsu, all nice. Jiu-jitsu related. And
awesome.
Honestly, I have a blast doing them. Again, we just, I don't even know what the saying is. You chew the cud or something. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just about jiu-jitsu. I was like, there's so much to talk about in jiu-jitsu.
And how can you not like it, or even talking about it? I was just telling Chad, it was funny. So I've been working from home for quite a while now. I'll go into the office once in a while. And we all had to go in yesterday. So there was a bunch of us there. And people, I have some new tattoos that they haven't seen me for a long time. My arms are covered. And they weren't when I left. And I have my team East Coast tattooed on my arm in jiu-jitsu. And they're like, oh, you train in jiu-jitsu. And it turned into this huge conversation. And I was dumbfounded, because normally that doesn't happen, like in a, like when you
office setting.
Right. And I was like, wow. This is pretty awesome. My wife was like, how did it go? I was like, we talked about jiu-jitsu. And she's like, what? She's like, wait a minute, what? It's like, it's good. So, but yeah, talking about jiu-jitsu, man. And
awesome.
Other things. So
thanks for having me on here, guys. It's always an honor to be on features on someone's podcast, and just tell my part of jiu-jitsu and my part of the world here in Arizona.
Yeah, you're in a great part of the world too, by the way.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I think I've lived in the desert for so long, most of my life, that everything is cold to me.
Yeah.
I keep my house at 80 degrees in the summer, and if it gets, I swear, I don't know what it is. It hits 79 degrees, maybe 7. I'm putting on a hoodie and throwing on a comforter. I'm like, it's just too cold. And
too cold.
Well, I'm the guy. You go on a trip, if we go somewhere cold, I'm complaining the whole fucking time. So yeah.
It's like, you want me to go out East Coast and do a competition or a seminar? Yeah. Sorry, guys, it's too cold.
Well, I just got back a few weeks ago. I taught at a camp in Iceland with Croyler Gracie.
Yes, I saw that. I watched that video of you speaking to him. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that place. anything that's colder than my freezer, I have no business being in, honestly. And that place was definitely colder than my freezer. So
it's always funny, like people, I know before people asked goofy questions, not on the show, just in my life in general. And they've brought up a funny question like Iceland. Like, is Iceland really cold? And I'm like, well, are you asking that? Like, because the name's kind of in there, but are you being funny? Like,
I mean, it kind of like implied, you know, in the name, right. Iceland.
Exactly.
But what's funny is, like, of all the Nordic Viking countries, Greenland is more ice than Iceland. And Iceland's more greener than Greenland.
Huh.
So
that's interesting.
Oh, it's funny. It's hilarious. And
have you been there before?
No, that was my first time there.
Oh, nice.
It was amazing.
Did you get to go see some cool stuff and train jiu-jitsu at the same time?
The jiu-jitsu was the jiu-jitsu was a bonus. You know, we did a lot of sightseeing, a lot of excursions, saw a lot of waterfalls, and we went to a lot of filming sites too. We went to a couple of sites where they filmed Game of Thrones.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Prometheus and oh my God, what's that one? That other space movie? Jesus Lord, I can't think of the name. Casey Affleck's in it. Dad goes into space to find a new colony.
Interstellar.
Interstellar,
yeah.
Parts of Interstellar. Yeah, parts of Interstellar was filmed there too.
I did not know the Prometheus was filmed there. So Chad and I are big movie fans too, and horror movie fans. So that's why I really
I think I forgot what scene or what part of it, but I was told that where we went, Prometheus was part of Prometheus was filmed there.
Nice.
So cool. We went to Black Sand Beach where it's I want to say it was in the last season of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
It's that part. It's by Dragonstone where they were mining the dragon glass.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yep.
That's Black Sand Beach. So yeah, it was awesome. You know, we taught our camp at Gunnar Nelson's Academy, the Molinier. But I get apparently I butcher it. I say like mol. But they say it with like a Mjolnir, like it was.
Oh, they got a little,
yeah. So I was like, okay, sorry, I can't do that, but Mjolnir is cool.
But it's good.
I'm American, man. So
right, like you sound like me when I go to introduce some people that we've had on the show, and I always apologize because I butcher it, and obviously names are hard sometimes. But I'm an old white American guy that doesn't really speak anything else. So
dude, it's like my tongue doesn't twist that way.
Right.
Like I'll do my best, but don't kill me if I butcher it. So
how long were you there?
We were there for a little over a week. About a week, maybe a couple. Yeah, about a week, I would say fully. But we did again a lot of sightseeing, a lot of jiu-jitsu. What else? Tried a lot of weird food.
That's what you always do when you go to another country.
I normally don't. I'm as meat and potatoes as you possibly can. Yeah. Dude. It's like I don't venture too far out of a steak and potato, or a chicken sandwich or something. But it was fun. So it's funny. I'm kind of picky. Like I don't eat chicken with bones in it. And
oh, really?
Dude, yeah. It drives my wife nuts because she does. So our daughter growing up, all we ever ate was just boneless chicken breast, and my wife but the flavor's all in the bones. I'm like, I don't want those little red marks in the veins from the bone on my meat. It grosses me out. So. But yeah, so when we were in Iceland, Croyler and some of his guys, went. They landed in Iceland about a day earlier than the rest of us did, and while they were waiting for us, they just decided that we'll just try all kinds of crap. But they tried fermented shark, and seal, and it's some other fish I forgot. It was like, I think it was pickled herring.
Pickled herring.
So
okay.
yeah. So anyway, so we went to this one restaurant where we all met up together, and it was like later in the week. It was a traditional Icelandic restaurant, and everyone else has already tried it, and like I kind of pushed it off, wait till the end of the week to not try it. I tried, but we got to this restaurant. We're like, Croyler's just like, he pulled the Gracie card. He's like, all right, you got to eat it, Jay. I'm like, all right. So, but they served it in a little cup in like small cubes, and they serve it with a little shot of a local schnapps.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
and so I think I was supposed to take a little sip of the schnapps after each cube, right? So I took I smelled it. I'm like, it was horrendous. I've never smelled anything like it before. And like, again, I don't venture very far out, like I'm really fucking plain. I'm McDonald's plain, and so like the waitress is like, tells us you have to chew it 10 times. I'm like, why? And she's like, you have to open up the flavors. I'm like, I swear to God, I think she was fucking with me. I'm like, she's gotta be mad. Yeah. So I'm like, and then Croyler and the rest of the guys are like, yeah, you have to chew it 10 times. I'm like, all right, dude. I think I got through like 5 bites, and I was like, I can't do this. They're like, just keep chewing it. I'm like, I finally got the 10. I downed the whole shot, and I was supposed to save the rest of it for the others. I'm like, I'm not eating it. So no, just here you go. Nope. But
got a burger? Anybody got a burger back there?
No, you know what? So it was all seafood there, and the only thing that they had that was plain was a lasagna. So I ordered a lasagna.
There you go. All
yeah.
Right. That's that's good.
we had I also tried whale.
Okay.
It was very, very metallic-y, like liver.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then we went horseback riding on. I did like this Icelandic horse on these Icelandic horses, and after they treated us to like a traditional Icelandic meal, and they started us off with lamb. So we started off with lamb prepared 4 different ways, and then we had lamb again for the main course. So we had first like part of the stomach, like there's a piece of fat, meat, and then something else. I have no idea. Then there was the lamb's head, kind of like how they make like goat head cheese. They boil the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then take off all the meat. So that was the same thing.
The same thing. Okay.
And then they had a sausage, and then this was the worst one. It was lamb testicle fermented in milk.
Oh, like nothing fermented is good. Like,
no,
it's
nothing
good.
Like I don't like shit pickled, let alone fermented. So I was like, Jesus Lord. But you know what? It's fun. I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth. I drank liquor, coffee, gum,
anything.
Mints. Like it took forever to get rid of that taste in my mouth.
The question is, did it help the jiu-jitsu while you were there?
Absolutely not. I wish it did. I wish it gave me some Icelandic Viking powers or something like that. Because my God, those guys are so big.
I was going to ask you, was it like kind of eye-opening or not eye-opening, but like, like holy crap.
Yeah.
Like
the men, the women, I'm like looking up like this the whole time. I was like, I'm short. I'm 5'8". And I'm like, I have to look up like even the cops, the female cops were just like tall and just like freaking jacked. Like they're all like these crossfitting chicks that they're patrolling the streets. So I was like, Jesus Lord, that's what we need.
That's CrossFit,
some CrossFit chicks patrolling our streets.
Guessing their crime rate might be a little lower there, right?
Sure. Oh yeah. It's very low. Right. I think. Oh my God! I think that the only crime, it's so low. It's so low there. I think the last like serious crime was like 30 some years ago or something.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's pretty good though, man. I mean, that's something to speak volumes about, because whatever they're doing is obviously transcended through culture.
Yeah.
For that long to keep going, you know, so it's a big thing, because that's never, I love it here. I love America, but I'm not saying nothing bad about it, but that would never happen here because we all think so differently. And obviously the population's a lot bigger in the United States and, you know, stuff like that.
100%.
So, you know,
and it's a cultural, and it's like you said, it's a cultural thing, you know,
right?
The Icelandic, you know, Icelandic people came up a certain way. People from Ireland came up a certain way. Right. We came up a certain way. You know, that's just not, you know, in our culture. Like, I live in a desert, you know, cowboys and Indians, and I love my guns. You know, I grew up loving my guns, you know, and my dad's been taking me shooting since I was a kid, and, you know, it's just what we are. And like, and I have like friends and family from other countries that think it's odd that we love guns as much as we do, you know, and it's just part of our culture.
It's just part of our culture. Yeah. That's what I like. When things start to come up like that, I'm a big gun person. And when stuff like that comes up, I kind of use that same exact thing, that it's normal for us because we were around it. It's our culture. Like, it's in it all the time. In other countries, it never is. Like, younger people grow up or whatever, born, raised, whatever, they never see a gun their entire life until they play a video game or see it on TV or something. But us, like, it's normal for us to see a physical gun at some point. Go to Walmart and you're seeing a BB gun, it all shakes. Right. You know what I mean? So
for sure. Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome, man. Cool. I'm glad you had a good trip, and man, that's a lifetime experience. That's like a bucket list thing, you know, like something you get to opportunity to do and tell stories like this.
Yeah. You got to do it at least once in your life.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? I will say, like, will I go back? I would love to, but my God, it was so expensive, you know, I bet. Yeah. Just food alone, I spent like at least $800-900 just on food alone. Yeah.
And you're there for a week, and you're probably doing, you know, even if you skip a meal or whatever, it's the whole thing. So it all wraps up quick. Wraps up. So just you, wife, daughter go with you, or just
it was just me. I went I taught at the camp. I taught at a camp, and there's I want to say there was a total of 16 people. We had an Airbnb, and pretty much we were all on the same schedule. So we all trained, and did all of our excursions together. So
very cool. That's good though, because it's like I don't know. I'm really big for guys that are in relationships or married to do a vacation away.
I need my time.
Right. I love everybody out there, but my wife doesn't listen to this show, so I can say that.
And the one time,
it'll happen to me.
She listens to it. She's like,
she will.
Really?
She'll come back. She'll be out for a run and come home and go, I listened to the show today. And I'll be like, dang it.
Sorry.
So Jay, man, tell us, how did jiu-jitsu get its hooks in you? Like, when did it all begin?
So, like, pretty much 1993, you know, like, just like most of the people my age that started at that time, it was a UFC.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I was never really good at sports. I was horrible at ball sports. I think the only ball sport I really excelled at was soccer. That was it. But I really gravitated towards martial arts. I loved martial arts. my dad, my uncles, you know, they were all into it. My grandfather, they're all into martial arts, one form or another, you know, from stick fighting, Filipino martial arts, boxing. Like my grandfather was huge in boxing, you know, and he always wanted me to box. He said, you don't need that karate shit. You need to box. You know, you put your hands up in box. And but it's always been a part of me and part of my life. And because I was just horrible at sports, and it was just an easy extracurricular activity for me that I enjoyed. So, so I had subscriptions to like different magazines, like Black Belt magazine.
Oh, yes.
What else? I think Inside Kung Fu and Master.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
There's awesome. Another magazine. I think it was called Masters. And before the UFC even came out, I had an issue like shortly before it came out of Masters with I want to say it was Helson Gracie. I could see his face. It's not Helson Gracie from Hawaii that lives in Hawaii. I mean, you don't even hear about this Gracie anymore. Last time I heard, he was in Vegas, and he's actually I believe he's the guy that he's the one that promoted my professor Kyle's professor to black belt.
Okay.
But anyway, he was in the magazine. I saw that. I was like, hey, that's okay. It looks like Japanese jiu-jitsu, what he was showing. And then UFC comes around. I'm like, I kind of put two and two together. I'm like, that's a Gracie. That's a Gracie. That doesn't look like the Gracie jiu-jitsu that I was seeing in this magazine. I'm like, that jiu-jitsu looks cool, you know? So and again, like I was very into it. And, you know, I grew up in, or lived in Palm Springs for a bit.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't have much of anything grappling. You know, the predominant martial art over there was Taekwondo, and several styles of Japanese karate. But there was one place that was it was the Jeet Kune Do school, and the Jeet Kune Do curriculum typically had, you know, we did JKD, Muay Thai, Kali, and Shuto, but in some schools, depending where you go, they'll also do Silat. We didn't do Silat where at the place that I trained, but yeah, so that was all I had access to. It was that Shuto class, maybe twice a week, and that guy that ran that program. Yeah, he went to Torrance Academy. He went to Torrance maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, sometimes, just to train. And so I just kind of went from there and started doing jiu-jitsu. That was my first introduction to anything grappling. Okay. So I was 15 when the UFC came out, and my mom started taking me to train, but it was too far and a pain in the ass for her. So it's like, she kind of like, at some point, she's like, you know, when you start driving, you know, go take yourself, you can start training again. So like when I turned 16, got my driver's license, I started driving myself, and, you know, I've been doing that since. So that was 1994. Moved out to Arizona for college to ASU, and when I came out here, Jeet Kune Do was huge out here. Jeet Kune Do and Judo, there's very little, if any, jiu-jitsu at all in the whole state. There was one black belt, that was Megaton Diaz, Mackenzie Dern's dad.
Yeah.
There's a brown belt, and then a small handful of blue belts kind of scattered around the state. I started with one of the blue belts, and that was about 1998 is when I first put a gi on. So, so I came out here for school. It was 96, 90. It was a 96, 97 year, the fall and spring at ASU. And like I said, all there was Jeet Kune Do schools, and they did some grappling there. And, you know, I just kept doing that up until I found this blue belt that started teaching. He was under Pedro Sauer at the time. And that's and that was in 98. I put a gi on, been training, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu ever since. I got my blue belt from Pedro Sauer, like, forever. It took forever for me to get a blue belt. Like, I want to say like 4 years, maybe. So, or maybe something like that. But yeah, it was a long journey to get to that blue belt. But
I'm not laughing at you. So I'm a white belt. So I'm kind of in the depths of I mean, well, it sucks at times.
At least here's the beauty for you. You're coming up in a time where the availability of information and access to information and black belts, you know, it's so the learning curve is so much faster now than it was. Like, I maybe saw back when I started, I saw a black belt maybe once a year, if even that, you know, and it was like seeing an angel to see even a purple belt. Like, he walks through the door, like, rays start flat, you know, shining, doves
like,
start
finally,
right. Oh my god, a purple belt.
They do exist,
right?
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, and then I just been, you know, I'm kind of one of the grassroots, homegrown jiu-jitsu players here in Arizona today, where the majority of our jiu-jitsu came from other states. You know, like,
it implanted into you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's very few that were few black belts that were grown here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least like school owner wise.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
right.
But over like, well, at least like maybe in the more recent years, you're starting to we're starting to have more and more schools open that are more homegrown black belts. But when I first opened up, I was one of very few. I started teaching back in 2007 as a brown belt. Yeah. And it was like, there's very few, again, the amount of schools that we have here in Arizona now is ridiculous. The amount of teams and the level of jiu-jitsu out here has been a night and day difference from when I first started out here till now.
Right.
So
yeah,
I've seen jiu-jitsu and MMA grow from nothing to what we have today. So,
and our younger generation, I would say, and it's obviously that's transitioning in now, but it's going to be part of the culture. Like, like bigger than, and in chat, we're around the, I mean, I'm 40s, we're in our 40s. So, you know, we watched like Kung Fu movies and stuff like that, or I trained in Jeet Kune Do when I was young, and then, you know, I did some other karate and stuff like that, and Taekwondo later. But it's funny because now they don't really do that. I say they do that. A lot of people still do it, but this part of jiu-jitsu is more available. Like you said, for me, like I have more information for me, and like my 8-year-old does it. And he was like, I want to do what my dad does. Like, he's like, I want to do what you do.
That's awesome.
I was like, all right. And his brother and sister did Taekwondo, which is funny because then they quit doing, they got their black belts and then obviously moved on, whatever. And my 8-year-old was like, he started it and he goes, I don't want to do that. I want to do what you're doing. I was like, all right, cool. So now he's
awesome.
Like, but you know, I think it's going to be a culture thing too, you know, to where it's different. Like, there's not just one martial art. It's becoming better for the younger generation of people to go, oh, there's better stuff out there. I love all of martial arts by far, every one of them. And I think everything is important to, if you got kids, man, get your kids in it and just go do it and go try it. You know, we preach to the choir on this show because we talk about jiu-jitsu all the time, but you know, like for you, you're a student of it because you did everything.
Yeah.
which is awesome, but you didn't have it all like in the beginning.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And it was harder to train then too, right?
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. Yeah, I was just gonna say, Jay, what you said about that learning curve. I think we don't realize or talk about that enough sometimes. I was just talking to my guys about it the other night after class, like, and it's that thing we say, you don't know what you don't know, right? Like we came up, I started jiu-jitsu in 2004. It was no-gi once a week. And by no-gi, we might do some tie clinches. We might do some, so that learning curve is just so crazy. I wish I could take my guys back to when I was a white belt and see how terrible I was and how good they are now. Right.
Right.
Because like you said, seeing a purple belt was crazy. And like, there's 2 black belts at my gym, myself and Pete, to have 2 black belts in your gym almost every night. Like, that's crazy.
Yep. And it's funny, like, well, and not only that, and just like technology is advanced.
Yeah.
What's that? What am I looking for? How we deliver information now.
Yeah.
Before, back in the day, like we had to go to tournaments.
Yeah.
And just watch jiu-jitsu tournaments and and film shit. Like I was like so thankful for guys like Mark. Do you remember Mark Lehman?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Like when he used to do you remember how he used to do those tapes? So he would record like matches from all these different tournaments, and he would cherry pick these techniques.
Yeah.
And just loop it over and over and over again and add music to it. Man, it was an invaluable piece of the invaluable tool for me coming up, and that for as far as my technical development. And that I want to say that's kind of what helped me like kind of spearhead my desires to be very into watching jiu-jitsu instructionals and competitions. I collect jiu-jitsu instructionals like kids collected baseball cards when I was growing up. And like even tournaments, watching rolling footage. But there's that was the one thing I think I did more of was watching tournament footage growing up, and that really helped me. And then Mark Lehman's VHS tapes also helped a lot too. So.
It's crazy. You mentioned Mark Lehman's name. I've been trying to track him down for the podcast. I would love to talk to him and get him on the podcast.
Oh, that man. He just fell off the face of the earth. He just
supposedly he teaches at I found the gym that he teaches at, and I messaged them, but who knows,
Yeah. Man, he was like so far ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Back then. And I honestly feel like if you would have just stayed in Vegas and just kept teaching jiu-jitsu, and not put all of his eggs in that MMA basket like he did.
Yeah.
I could easily say he would probably have one of the strongest teams.
Oh, for sure. I could see that.
And because the mind that he has for jiu-jitsu is unlike anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it sucks that we lost a coach in the community like that. That no one else is able to experience. How good and how technical and how good of a coach he is.
I was just gonna say his jiu-jitsu mind was probably the best part of all that.
It is 100%, and he was an amazing competitor. But it was like, I don't know what was better, his mind for jiu-jitsu, or his actual skills, because they're both very high, and high level. And you saw when he fought, it was either Hedon or Henner that
it was one of
the no time limit sub only competition. It's like one of the first of its kind at a Grappler's Quest. So, but yeah, man, that was like Yeah, if you could get that, I would love to hear that one. If you could get him on a podcast.
Yeah, I'll try for sure. But you're right. Those early tapes, and then, you know, Scotty Nelson's early tapes and all that stuff.
Yes.
You know, he's another guy I've been tracking down. We've talked a little bit, but I want to get him on here too.
Yeah. He'll get, you just keep bugging him. He's a busy guy.
Yeah. It's not like he's running a hospital or something, right?
That's
okay. Oh man. Yeah.
But you're right. Those early VHS tapes, and was it 101 submissions? Mm-hmm. There was a gi and a no gi, and like you said, it was just set with like some of it was rap, and then there was some of it was like rock music or something. But yeah, man, those were so good. And Matt Byrne, there was one called Matt Byrne. Yeah,
I love those tapes.
That's good stuff, man.
He used to come out to Arizona all the time, and you know, we just hang out. And that's how I got a hold of his tapes. Was the first time he came to Arizona. I was like, ooh, one of those. Okay, take my money. Here you go.
Gotta have it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a new drop.
Exactly. That's like, I swear to God, I think like jiu-jitsu instructionals are like my drug, you know?
Yeah.
I buy and collect whatever I can, you know? So,
you're gonna have to buy the Gord's new his NFT so you can get all the, so you can get all the instructionals after that. Like his next 6. I think it's his next 6.
I don't know, man. That NFT was expensive.
Yeah, 3 Gs, right?
It was well, when I looked at it, it was like 3.5, almost 3.5.
Is that what it was then?
I was like, holy Jesus Christ. 3.5. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm a fan, but I don't know if I'm that big of a fan.
Well, I would never buy it, and I'm older in age. Like I let the young kids do that and stuff, like whatever. Mm-hmm. When I saw it, I was like, on Instagram, I was like, that's gonna sell pretty quickly. Yeah. And I'm like, and I'm still gonna go, this is crazy. This is like, it is, man. But hey, if people are going to do it, and he actually just posted something about the, if he didn't say it, but he was like, would you pay extra for VIP pass to the backstage for
at
ADCC?
Like to hang out with everybody.
To hang out, which, did you see Tom DeBlass's comment?
I did not.
No. He was like, that's wrong. You can't do that because you mess with the athletes then. Like you could mess them up.
Oh, that's true.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I didn't really think about that. I thought instantly, well, Gordon's onto something again, and it'll probably happen.
Right.
You know,
it's gonna be his posse.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. So that's awesome. Very cool. That it's flowing in that, and it just shows that the sport in itself is getting bigger and better and everything. Was there a pivotal point for you, Jay? Like you're like, I want to own a school and teach. Like that's what I want to do.
You know what's funny? So as a kid, like when I was in school, I used to come up with like schedules of classes of how, if I owned a school, how would I want the schedule to look like, and what classes would I have?
Wait, you did this in your spare time when you were a kid, Jay?
Yeah. Dude, it was weird.
You didn't play Mario Brothers or anything?
I played video games, but like this is like when I was in like I'm bored at school.
Yeah.
Like
not
so
doing your
I'm like sitting. Yeah, right. I'm like doing a schedule, kind of copying what other karate schedules I've seen. I'm like, Monday this time, and like this, I'm gonna have kung fu here. We're gonna spar there. But as much as I thought about it as a kid, I honestly never thought to open up a school. It wasn't really a desire. I never really wanted to go out of my way to open up one. Like I went to school I have my undergrad degree in computer science and my MBA in marketing. And I was in sales like most of my adult life. You know, I did IT sales, and before I went to this, I opened up the school full time. I was doing mortgages, and it was a great job. I loved the mortgage industry, and it was 2008. Everything started to tank, and
the bubble burst.
Yeah, so about that same time, there's a chain in this across the U.S. LA Boxing. Chad, do you remember?
Yeah,
LA
yeah,
Boxing?
I remember. Yep, for sure.
So the huge chain. So a buddy of mine and a partner of his went and they opened up one of the franchises in Arizona, and coincidentally, it was right across the street from me, from my neighborhood. So, and my buddy was like asking me, he's like, "Hey, you know, do you want to teach? I need some coaches, you know." I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I was doing that part-time, doing mortgages, and then that bubble 2008 happened. I tried to stick it out as much as I could. Then what I was making doing personal training and teaching part-time was starting to kind of like match what I was making doing mortgages. Then I like figured, you know, if I could easily more than double my money just doing this full time. So I quit the mortgage industry and went there and started teaching and doing personal training full time at LA Boxing. And I was there from 2007 to 2010, and about end of 2009-ish, I want to say, I can't remember, just generally around that time, my buddy that opened up the franchise, he ended up passing away. So a year prior to me opening up the gym, roughly, he was going to go on tour. He was the drummer for Lit. You guys?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Alan Schellenberger, he was the original drummer for Lit. And he was at a Target. He was picking up some stuff, just getting ready to go on tour. And then he collapses at the Target, goes back home, goes sees his doctor, and he has terminal brain cancer.
Oh, man.
And he was diagnosed, and it was fun, crazy though. He was diagnosed a week prior to that Kennedy, whatever the last Kennedy that passed away. He passed away with the same terminal brain cancer. They were diagnosed a week apart. They passed away a week apart, and they were both diagnosed from the same doctor.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he was a good buddy of mine. You know, I got a memorial tattoo for him. But yeah, he, honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have my school. Wow. You know, I would not have been teaching. I've never thought of teaching. I just taught like for my old professor, you know, help him teach a kids class, but I never thought it never crossed my mind to open or own a school. So I owe like him calling me and and asking if I wanted to coach. That I owe him that. Where I'm at today wouldn't be if it wasn't for him and having me coach at LA Boxing. So
great, man. I mean,
yeah,
it's a super unfortunate event that happened.
Yep.
And happened, but like now you can sit and say, what if I didn't listen to him? What if you don't have to say that now? You never will, because look at what you've done and look at the people that you've passed on some great martial arts knowledge to, you know.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
grateful. I'm grateful for it. You know, like it was funny coming up through jiu-jitsu. I've done so many seminars. And if there was one thing I did dream of, like, was I wanted to do what those guys are doing. You know, those guys traveling like the world, like, you know, and getting paid for it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
To teach jiu-jitsu. Like I've done so many seminars with so many people. Like I came up under Carlson Gracie from like once I got my blue belt from Pedro Sauer, but from blue belt to my first degree black, I was under Carlson Gracie. You know, and I've done trained with both junior and senior, you know, and all the other Carlson Gracie black belts. And like when they came and so many others, like just coming in and out of town and traveling the world to, you know, to teach jiu-jitsu. That if there was a dream that I had, it was that. And that was pretty early on in my jiu-jitsu career. Like I never thought to be world champion. That was like when I was in my younger years. I never got into jiu-jitsu to win the world championships. I never got into jiu-jitsu, to do sport jiu-jitsu. I got into it for MMA. I've actually fought in the very first mixed martial arts event ever held in Arizona. And that's what people did. Like back in that era when we were coming up, people got into jiu-jitsu to do vale tudo or no holds barred, what it was called back then.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I got into it for. And then I did what I did, had my career, in mixed martial arts, and did what I could and sport jiu-jitsu. I enjoyed it. I loved competing, but again, it was like at the end of the day, I wasn't like what the kids are looking at. These young, hungry kids are looking at worlds now today. Like, I want to win this. I want to win that. Like me, I want to fucking travel. I want to teach jiu-jitsu.
Right. Yeah. I want to travel and teach. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
exactly
what I wanted to do. So it took a while for me to get to it and a lot of networking. And, now I've seen so many different parts of the world because of jiu-jitsu, and I've met so many amazing people, get to, talk to so many different people, make new friends, from around the world. I get to talk to you guys, and it's all because of jiu-jitsu, and I'm grateful for so many things that jiu-jitsu has given me and has done for me, directly or indirectly,
Sure. Yeah.
But,
that's the power of it too. I mean, that's what like I said in the beginning of the show, talking to people that don't do it and they don't know what they don't know, but it's contagious, and it just really, it really hooks you in, and we always say, it's not for everybody, or everybody's not for jiu-jitsu, which is probably always going to be true, and it is what it is. It's hard. Yeah, it's mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to another podcast. We had, Alberto Crane, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We had him. I listen to his podcast a lot. We've had him on the show, and he actually had Mark Paul Gosselaar on there, from,
really?
He just had him on
Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. He's a purple belt apparently.
Yeah.
So they were talking about that infectious thing about jiu-jitsu and why is that? And Alberto said something that I never thought about. It's like when we're younger, we're thinking about the future, right? Yeah. When we get older, we're thinking about the past and the future. When we're in jiu-jitsu, it's the only time we're in the present. You have to be in the present. And that, I think, is what's addictive. It gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. But it's so true. It's like you are in that moment.
You can't be anywhere else.
You can't be anywhere else,
you're
right?
Gonna die. Not really everybody out there if you don't do this.
Yeah. I thought it was a really cool way of saying that, right? I've never heard or thought about it that way.
Dude, that is totally amazing. I love, I'd never thought about it that way either.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And it's like, you hear people talk about when you're rolling, it's like, it's just you, the mats, and the other person. That's it. Yeah. There's no one else in the world. You're not thinking about anyone. But I like how he worded that. It's like you're thinking about the future, when you're younger.
Yep.
You're thinking about the past and the future when you're older. But when you're on the mats,
you're in the present, man.
You're in the present.
That's fucking amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's really
good. So cool. I love it.
Yeah.
That's really good. Hey, I'm not gonna derail the conversation, but I gotta ask this because this just happened. The IBJJF new rule. So Chad, Jay, let's hear about it, man.
I think it's cool. I mean, if you're love watching jiu-jitsu, I watched the Pan Ams last week, and I think in the finals there was 4 closeouts. So as a fan, you want to see people scrap, right?
Yep.
Closeouts are, explain what closeouts are in case nobody knows.
So 2 people from the same team. I don't know if they flip a coin. Sometimes it goes to the higher rank. Maybe if one of them's a higher, got their belt first, we'll take the gold medal instead of them fighting for it.
Okay.
So
that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
This needed to happen years ago.
Yeah.
Honestly, with my guys, I make them fight.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah.
I don't. There's no shaking hands, flipping a coin. I make them fight. And because I've been screwed out so many times in competition to a higher ranking belt, and like I actually had to like really. It was a finals at American Nationals. I was going to close out with a teammate, and I'm ready to go. He's like, "Yeah, we go, we have fun, we do this. Well, we go, we do this for the team, And I was like, "Yeah, cool, yeah, we go." I'm warming up. I got my headphones on. I'm like just waiting by the bullpen, just ready to go. And then he decides he's not going to compete. That he's just gonna. He's making me concede to him without even talking to me about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the? I'm like, come on, dude. So I had to go to his professor. I'm like, dude, Rodrigo. I'm like, I'm ready to fight. He said he was going to fight. I'm like, but I want to like, and I just have to give him the gold. He doesn't want to fight. So long story short, I ended up taking the gold for that tournament from him because he didn't want to fight.
Because he didn't want to fight. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Is this something that's been going on for a long time? With IBJJF?
Oh, yeah.
Is it just like they don't know till the end, right? Like they go through the whole tournament, obviously, but they have teammates that are in the same bracket.
Yeah, they probably started on opposite sides. Obviously, started on opposite sides of the bracket. They just made it through together. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing they do it to not cause a ripple at the gym. Maybe ego. Is it? Mm-hmm. Is that what you would think, Jay?
No, definitely. I would see that. Yeah, honestly, because I don't care what anyone says. Everyone's got an ego.
Yeah,
they're not going to walk. Yeah, sure. They're not going to walk to that door without having an ego. But it's how you deal with your ego and how you control your ego is what matters most. The way I look at it, and and I think it's one of those things like they don't want someone's pride or ego to get brushed, and
right,
maybe lose a student or something because you made them fight. You didn't just give it to me. I'm the higher rank. It should just automatically go to me. Right. I honestly, and I think it's a practice. I'm just assuming. I don't know for a fact, but I think this is just a practice that came from Brazil. Because I've honestly, I've done karate tournaments like for decades growing up, all the way till I was 18 or 19 years old. And I remember that last tournament, but I've had to, I've fought other teammates,
Yeah.
There's never a thing where we closed out, whether you're looking Taekwondo or the Olympics, you don't sit there and like flip a coin or shake or decide, or someone decide who wins. You compete,
Yeah.
So I think is it a Brazilian thing? I don't know. Maybe, but I just don't know. Here, it was never a thing, and in my academy, it's never a thing. I make them fight.
It's crazy. When I read that, and everyone, on Instagram and whatnot, social media, it was like, oh, this new rule and stuff, and I was like, what? Like, I just watched fans too, like chat. Like I watched last weekend, and I was like, I don't really know what this is. And then I, read more and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever the closeout is. And then I did read about it, more. And
for many reasons too. And if we ever want to get jiu-jitsu on a big stage or people watching it, right? Can you imagine like, this is the best, it's the world championships, and then nobody fights each other.
Yeah.
It's not funny. Sorry. It's just super funny.
But that'd be the luck of it. It's on ESPN and then you got 5 closeouts and nobody fights.
Yeah. Right. It would be horrible. It would suck.
It'd be terrible.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, it's been a long time coming, and it should have been. And I think it again, like just like in a lot of things in jiu-jitsu, and kind of like with us and our guns, it all has to start with the culture of the gym.
Yeah. They're going to have to change that culture in gyms. They're going to have to change it. Like, look, I mean, for me, so I wrestled and we had wrestle offs. Like, if you were in a group of guys that were in the same weight class, Like you weren't like, you're just the best. Every week, coach was like, no, you guys, we're going to put the best out this week. And you're going to wrestle off. And then it was always, and I was like, well, this is going to be,
I just watched a video. Yeah. They just did that. The Daisy Fresh Pedigo guys. Yep. They did that for their white belts going to the pans. They had like 5 or 6, whatever guys at the same weight. So they did wrestle offs.
Yep.
This is who's going. That's
awesome.
So that's cool. You wonder though, I hope the closeout thing doesn't have an opposite effect where people won't compete now,
Right.
But which it could. I mean, I'm saying the high level guys, but
I just look at if you're going to compete, then you're walking in to compete. Like you're no matter who it is, what it is.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to shake hands, whether that's your teammate or not. At least anything I've seen in my time of watching it for the last, 2.5 years or whatever. People shake hands afterwards, hug, congratulations, whatever, and move on.
You know what it might do too is cause people to do different weight classes.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to move down, you move up, and then they can,
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
That'll probably
100%.
happen. But
it'll be fine too.
Oh, it'll be great. I mean, and it can, those big teams that have a lot of people could have more people in each,
right.
Each one. So anyway, I think it should, hopefully it'll be cool.
I'm sure.
Do you have Jay? We always ask this, Jay. Do you have a favorite rule set like of the new stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, like I've said this for forever since day one. I will always feel that ADCC has the best rule set because it doesn't favor the submission fighter only, and it doesn't favor the point fighter only.
Right?
It's got them both equally.
They both have opportunities, and it doesn't tilt to one side or the other. Even though some will lose or win by points, but it's like you could still submit them with everything you got.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. You're not being held back. So to me, I think the ADCC format's one of my favorite.
Yeah. I think it makes them think a little bit too. I remember watching, I don't know, last ADCC with Dante Leon. I remember him sitting down before the points started. Right. Yeah. So you got to have a little strategy too. Like, I'm just going to stay here instead of getting chance of taking down,
Yep. 100%.
So that's kind of cool.
Way to work the points.
It's a work to your benefit.
I think wish we could couch did that this year.
He probably did.
I just think a couple weekends ago when trials was on, I think he just sat. And I could be mistaken. I'd have to go back and watch on Flow, but I remember watching the match. I thought it was Jacob, and he just sat down, and they were like, it was there, and it was just like,
it's a good strategy.
Yep.
Yeah. I just wish we get that same, we all love jujitsu. I like the gi a little bit more. The older I get, I like it even more. I did no gi Thursday night. I'm like, this is terrible. I'm slippery. I can't hold on to anything. But anyway, I wish we could get that same action and everything in the gi, and get that a little 100%. More out there. Why not? Why couldn't they do a who's number one gi tournament, and
I'm sure they could,
I know no gi is the hot thing right now and what everybody likes, but.
And it's funny, the older I've gotten, the more I've liked no gi.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's just like my
hands,
my hands. And I have my left hand and wrist is very arthritic.
I was going to say you have arthritis in your hands, don't you, Jay?
Both in.
Go ahead.
Both hands, but mostly my left hand.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if I do like a really hard day of training, just one day of meaning hard day of grip fighting or grip use, my hands are shot to shit for at least 3 days. Yeah. At least.
I'm getting there too. Yeah.
So like my knuckles like are really bumpy, like right up here, like they're deformed-ish. My pinkies are deformed.
Yeah. So did the ink happen after they hurt or before they hurt? Have you had the ink on your hands there for a while?
Oh yeah, no, I've had them there. I've had it here. I'm like,
when you mentioned knuckles, because I just got a new tattoo on my hand, a while ago, and everyone's been asking me now. They're like, "Does it hurt down around the knuckles?" And I'm like,
No.
I mean, for me, Chad and I are probably in the same level of like, it doesn't hurt. Like, and I'm not saying it to brag. I just, I'm like, look, man, I'm getting tattooed. Like, it doesn't tickle.
It doesn't feel. That's what I said. Like,
it doesn't tickle, but like, go ahead.
My first Jay. So I'll be 47 this year.
Yeah.
My first tattoo was 2 years ago, and I have a sleeve, and but so I went crazy, like everybody does. And I'm glad I waited till I was in my 40s to get tattoos because it's something that I want. But like I said, it doesn't feel great. But I've never been to a point where I'm like, oh, you got to stop right now,
dude.
But
I'm the complete opposite. Mine's biggest wuss. Man. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were talking about tattoos. Like right now, I'm pretty covered. I got full sleeves on both sides. I'm actually finishing my leg sleeve on my left leg.
Nice.
I have a good chunk of my right leg tattooed. My back is pretty tattooed. I have 2 chest panels, and I'm planning to get my neck done too soon and my back. But I was talking to my buddy, and we're like, we just totally did this all ass backwards. We did the easiest parts of our body to tattoo, like the least painful first, and waited for the most painful parts later. Like I've been in so much, dude. My this leg sleeve was the most excruciating pain I've ever been through.
Really? Oh man,
it sucks.
Yeah, I've heard the lower you go, the more painful it gets.
Oh, what's interesting? Now I have a whole leg piece laid out. I'm like, I don't have it yet, but
I have it. Yeah, the lower half sucked, but I don't know, man. The upper half, I think, had me sweating more.
Yeah,
but it was funny as I found a numbing cream. I've tried so many different numbing creams for my leg. None of them worked except for this one. I just by accident, a few days before my last tattoo appointment, I came across it. Whatever. It's like 20 something bucks. I just ordered it from Amazon, caked it on my leg. I'm like, holy shit, I don't feel a thing. It was like the best numbing cream I ever had. I'm like, dude, tattoo more.
You're like, keep going while I can get it in.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like I think the older I've gotten, I think the more of a wuss I've become, and my pain tolerance has completely dropped.
Done.
I'm like the biggest baby, dude. Like I bumped my knee and I'm like crying to my wife. I cut my thumb. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And my wife, the older we've got, I've been with my wife since I was 20, and she was 21.
You train jiu-jitsu?
Yep, she's one of my she's my first female black belt.
Oh, awesome, man!
And she was the 5th black belt in Arizona.
Wow,
so,
very cool.
Yeah, she's first degree right now. Yeah, awesome. I just
good for her.
I think last year, this year, and that last year promoted her, but yeah, no, she's like before growing up, when we were younger, I was like the tough guy, muscle and everything like that, and kept pushing and whatever. The older we've gotten, oh my God, I don't know what it is. My estrogen levels are just shot through the roof or something. But my gosh, she makes me feel like such a pansy. She's the one, she's like the tougher one. She's like the one telling me to suck it up.
Yeah.
You just reached that point. You used it all. See what happened.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I say guys, like guys who are guys use it all. And then when we're older, we're like, wah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm like, I'm all out, honey. I'm all out. I'm sorry.
There's so many times, I've signed up to compete or had matches where I don't want to do it. I just pull out. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And my wife just comes around, just suck it the fuck up and just fucking go out there and compete. You signed up for it, so suck it up. One time I had a super fight against Drew Fickett.
Oh yeah.
Right? So never been submitted. But anyway, leading up to it, a week before, I got so sick. I had a fever, the flu. I didn't train it. I'm sitting there with one of my black belts who was also competing. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. And he's like, yeah, then don't do it. If you feel like shit, just go home. You know, I got it. You know, I'll coach everyone. I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks. I'll see you later. So I go to my wife. Let's go home. I don't feel good. I don't want to do this. I'll just, you know, give it up and let him. I'll give him the money. I'll whatever. Just go home. So she's like, Jay, you signed up for it. Okay, you took the match. Go out there, tap him out quick, and then we'll go home. I'm like, I don't want to. Just fucking go. So, and you can see in the video, I was just like, I don't even want to be there. Like, I walk out on the mat. I was like, bastard, yeah. Right. And then, but then, like, before we get on the mat, he looks like he's about to get into a fight. He's like, like smacking his head. I was like, and I look over, I'm like, fuck.
You're like, this is going to be real. Not that none of them are, but.
So long story short, I grab we tie up, I pull to close guard, and I eventually go for a flower sweep. He counters it. I go right into the arm bar and I submit him. So, and I won $500. And yeah, and then when I went home and just went to bed, dude. Oh my God, I felt like crap.
Like, but, here, honey, here's the $500.
Here's the money.
I need to go to bed.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. Like, I love her to death. She does. She is my rock. And, you know, when I want to quit, she makes me not quit. You know, and honestly, you know, I say, like, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Alan. Like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Alan. I wouldn't be the person, the instructor, or have the school that I have if it wasn't for her. You know, so
nice.
Yeah, so I owe a lot. I owe a lot to her, and like, she's, you know, always encouraging me and pushing me to do better, and like, and she's the one
there's every man needs a great woman in their life. We've said it on the show before. It's for real.
She keeps me out of a lot of trouble. Oh my God. Like, when I was younger, there's so many times I probably would have been in jail a few times, but you know,
that's what happens when you're young and dumb, and you know.
Yep.
Like you said, like, you're looking to the future, like Chad said, like Alberto Crane said. That's right? Who said it, right?
Yeah,
Chad?
yeah.
So, yeah, you were looking to the future. You were having a lot of fun, getting in trouble, not really caring, not really looking to the future.
No, yeah.
I always tell people, like, if you're in the martial arts world, like, it keeps you grounded, it keeps you pure, and you have a lot of like moral value to you and respect and stuff. I said, but don't think for a second that there's not some stuff inside there that can flip a switch and make things, you know. So, you know, that's 100%. Awesome. Very cool. Hey, is loop choke stuff kind of your favorite in gi?
Yeah. Like, nice. Honestly, like, my chokes in general. But the baseball chokes, lapel chokes, those have always been my go-to submissions in the gi. Bravo grip, the chokes from the Bravo grip, baseball choke, like, especially like, because when I saw Majid Hage put out all these big name guys back in the day with the baseball choke, I was like, dude, I want to do that. So like, I spent the whole year. The only thing I ever went for was the baseball choke, you know. And I even this was the very last Grappler's Quest that they ever held on the West Coast, ever in Vegas. I had that baseball choke down so good. I had 5 matches to win gold. 4 matches to win gold. The first 3 guys I submitted in a total of a minute and 40 something seconds. all from the baseball choke.
Baseball choke. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, the first guy, you know, didn't see it coming. Right. But I set it up, pulled, got the choke. And then the second match, his corner's yelling at him, watch out, he's going for the baseball choke. He's going for the baseball choke. But he let me get my first grip in, but he let me get my second grip in. I'm like, shit. All right. So I go for it, got it again.
Second one in, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, and the third guy, same thing. He's going to go for the baseball choke. Watch out for the baseball choke. So I grabbed the back of his head. I slide my hand in. I turn it up. I'm like, oh, shit. Let me keep it. And then, so I'm sitting here like kind of inching my left hand. Oh, shit. He's letting me have it. I'm like, so I get him again. So, yeah, all three matches, I got him done like in less than a minute and a half or a minute and 40-something seconds. Now, the last guy, okay, he fought it off good. So, and then I ended up beating him like by 28 points to 0, and I ended up submitting him with an arm bar towards the end of the round.
Nice.
But that baseball loop choke, I kind of had to go about developing that because everyone's really savvy to the baseball choke now, you know.
That's what, when I watched that video, that's the first thing I thought was, ooh, this is a different opportunity than baseball, because it is. And sorry, Jay, not to interrupt you, but I had a guy at the gym a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, I did the baseball choke, and he was like, how do you defend the baseball choke? And he goes, I'm like down here looking at your legs, like looking to pass. And I was like, I know. I was like, I want you to. I was like,
right.
I was like, you need to not look away kind of and watch where my hands are going. Really. Exactly. I said, and if you can fight it, if you want, I was like, you can posture up or stand up and try to get out of it. But I was like, other than that, once you're in, it could be bad news.
Yeah.
So the one thing I told my guys, like when they ask about defending the choke, it's so with let's say, for example, like cross chokes, right? Whether my palms are up, palm down, right? So my elbows go apart, right? So if my elbows have to come apart to get the submission, the defense would be to do something to bring the elbows in
together,
right? So with the baseball choke, I have to bring my elbows in together, not apart. So I need to do something to bring it apart. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely. Yeah.
So regardless of the position that they're in, whether they're on the bottom, they're with the bottom or top, I just need to take one arm and push it away from the other arm.
Yeah. And
that separates the arm that takes away the attack. So
that attack, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So, and ever since then, it's just, that's where like my guys started getting a lot more savvier. So I was like, let me loop this around your head and see what I could do with it. And, you know, and honestly, it's like, what's nice about it, it's very unassuming because there's nothing tight. Things, you know,
it's loose. Okay. So you're getting, okay.
It's the setup is very loose, so it's very unassuming, and people don't start becoming defensive against submissions until something starts getting tight. You know, is so once they feel the threat, that's when the defense starts to come into play. So that's where I think the beauty of that choke is in that how unassuming it is and how easy it is to set it up because it's so unassuming. So.
Yeah, that's why I love loop chokes, and that's what I always said is that first initial grip, it's so low that nobody thinks about it, right? Until they're passing or you hit it, and it's too late. Yeah. So
exactly,
I love some loop chokes. My instructor is James Klingerman. I don't know if you know James or not, or heard the name.
No, I know James very well.
James is a good dude, and he's got loop choke DVDs everywhere. You know,
dude, I love James. You know, honestly, most of our friendship has been online, you know, but I've, chit-chatted it with him every now and then whenever I got to see him at a tournament or whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but he's dude, James is awesome, dude. I love that guy.
That's a good dude.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Fun to train with.
I've always been a fan of chokes you know, like there's two categories of submissions I've always gravitated towards, was chokes and leg locks, you know, and chokes, because honestly, everyone to one degree or another lead with their head. You know, they're always leading with their head, whether they're standing, sitting, or on top or on bottom. They're going to be leading with their head to one degree or another. And if they're not leading with their head, then they're leading with their feet when they're on their back. You know, when they're playing any guard, they're leading with their feet. So those are the those two like categories of submissions I've always gravitated towards. And then you got, you know, what's funny was like I've gotten a lot of shoulder locks in competition.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but my favorite, my go-to chokes, and the most I've ever got were all chokes. You know, I've gotten north-south chokes, I've gotten rear naked chokes, head and arm triangles, Bravo variations of Bravo chokes, cross chokes. Like those are my go-to, because for me, I feel they're safe. You know, like because the way when I teach with my guys, like I really put a lot of emphasis into strategy, and the strategy in deciding what you're going to do, you know. And when I talk about in terms of strategy, like submissions, like for example, what do I pick and choose to go for and when, is all dependent on my position. So if I go, like, for example, let's go take a close guard, right? If I go for, let's say, an armbar or triangle or an omoplata and it fails, I lose my position.
Yeah.
Okay. I go for an armbar, he passes. I go for a triangle, fails, he passes. I go for the omoplata, he passes, and it fails, he passes. If I go for a kimura and it fails, I still have the guard. If I go for any chokes, it fails, I still have a guard. You know, and it's the same thing when I'm on top. You know, if I'm in mount, I'm gonna I'll probably go for just shoulder locks, like Americanas or kimuras, or I'm gonna go for cross or any other chokes, because again, the minute I sit off and go for an armbar and I lose that position, if it fails, I just gave up a very he's on top, and I just gave a very valuable position. So
that's where, I mean,
and I think those positions or chokes are a lot less harder to bully your way out of. Maybe you want to say, right? Was it?
Yep.
Elio Gracie always said everybody taps to the choke, right?
Yep.
Because
100%.
they can bully out of an armbar or stack you out of a triangle or whatever. But man, you get that collar choke locked.
Yeah.
Well, I quit going for all those other submissions and during rolls because I'm like, granted, I'm nowhere near anything, but you know, I was like, I'm just not technically good enough to hold this. So I'm strong, but I'm like, I just want to go for a choke or get a Kimura lock because I can control that or keep my legs closed in a guard and then go from there. It's like, if I open this, I better get the sweep, because if not, it's all downhill from here then.
Right on. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's one of those things, like you said, you can't bully anyone. Like, it doesn't matter how big, how much muscle you have. You cut the blood flow, you know. A kid could do that, you know. If you let a kid like wrap their arm around your neck and they go put a rear naked choke on you, I don't care how much you could flex your neck, you're not getting out. You're not getting out of that.
No chance. You're going to go to sleep before you go, you know. And I think it happens quicker than people realize it happens until they're in it. You know what I mean? Or if they're never in something that deep and they've never felt the darkness start to come down. You know, like it doesn't come down like people are like, oh, it starts to come down. No, it's like it comes down real fast. And then you're going, what happened?
Been there, done that, man. It's my wife. It's funny is I've been put out 4 times in my whole jiu-jitsu career. 4 times. All 4 because of my wife.
Oh man.
Yeah, 3 of them were rolling. One was there's a video floating around on YouTube somewhere. We were I host the Globetrotter camp here, the West Coast Globetrotter camp here, and Heather Rafferty was doing a class, like a lecture about like submissions and the mechanics of submissions, and she used me and my wife as demonstration dummies. So you can see, like, it was in a mounted triangle. My knee, I had my knees up, you know, I'm like this, and then she's like, "You okay, Jay?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Then, like, shortly after, you see my hand go up like this, I just pressed it down, and she starts talking, and then all of a sudden, you can see my left leg just start to drop slowly, and then then the video just ends with everyone trying to wake me up. So, but yeah, she's the only one that's ever put me out.
Man, doesn't take much. Hey, at least it was her. See, that's something that she's going to remember forever. You're never going to forget it either. So.
Nope, not at all.
That's awesome, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But, so go ahead, Jay.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and we can keep going. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
We've had you for over an hour, like an hour and 20 minutes, but we're told, I mean, as long as you're fine, like we always we'll just keep talking or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, like, so what's SAW? So that SAW, tell me all about this, man. Cause when I was reading about you, I was like, ooh, this isn't, I don't know about this.
So submission art, it's SAW stands for Submission Arts Wrestling.
Okay.
It's a catch wrestling hybrid.
I was going to ask you, is there a difference between catch wrestling and submission wrestling? Or what you're talking about? I'm sorry.
Honestly, like submission, like everyone thinks of submission wrestling. People think of jiu-jitsu without the gi.
Okay.
But catch as catch can has a very specific rule sets and techniques and strategies. But so what happened was, way back in the day, you had several people, like prominent figures in the catch wrestling world, go to Japan. You had Carl Gotch, Billy Robinson, and I thought there was another third guy, but those two come to mind, and those two had the biggest effect of catch wrestling and grappling in Japan. Like basically the professional wrestling that they have today in Japan is because of those guys.
Oh, wow. No. Oh, that's awesome.
So, and Sakuraba, the gyms that he trained at were through, I want to say Carl Gotch. Maybe everyone's going to be able to trace their catch wrestling lineages to them, and all the big professional wrestling gyms or amateur wrestling gyms could trace themselves to either Carl Gotch or Billy Riley or Billy Robinson. So Hidetaka Aso Sensei was a black belt in judo that also trained with I want to say with Gotch, and basically over time eventually put his judo and the techniques of judo and catch wrestling together, and that's what he calls submission arts wrestling.
Okay.
So he runs the All Japan Joint Technique Federation and a very big catch wrestling organization, also a tournament organization in Japan. Back in like the 90s, early 90s and early 2000s, it was really big. Not so much now because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like taken over in Japan, and just like it has here, which is why you don't see catch wrestling as big as it is. You'd think, like, as old of a history that catch wrestling has, you'd think it'd be bigger, but I just think it was the way it was promoted and organized. It was just, if they would have done what the IBJJF did, it would be a different story. But
Okay.
yeah, but submission arts wrestling is just like a blend of judo and catch wrestling, basically.
Okay.
And
I thought it was like I went out,
Yeah.
I went and watched some videos and whatnot, and it reminded me honestly. And I was like, oh, this looks like Roman wrestling, like it back, like it was kind of like very similar to that, like back in that way. So it just sparked my interest whenever I saw that you did it, and I was like, oh man, I'd like to know some more about it.
You could see like geographically, you have catch wrestling influenced like styles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though we still consider it here in the catch as catch can, like carny wrestling here in the States. That was like our blend or view or flavor, if you will, of catch wrestling.
Okay.
Basically, that's how more or less how catch wrestling kind of spread out west, was through carnivals and carnies. Then you had catch wrestlers going down to Brazil, Japan. You know, it's a big like circle. So you had catch wrestling coming from England to the United States, and then the United States then kind of went off to like the Brazil and Japan, and then you had a bunch of Japanese go from Japan to Brazil. You know,
okay.
So yeah, so it's just a big circle. Then you like other sub styles of catch wrestling. You know, we got Saw. You have oh my God, Luta Livre. Luta Livre is that's Brazil's like their flavor of catch wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and pretty much, and like I said, you know, Saw is just a different flavor of catch wrestling. You know, they used to have tournaments where they competed with belts, or you know, and you could it was still like all no gi, but you would wear a belt and you could use that belt against them. So, but yeah, like,
nice.
but yeah, that's pretty much it.
What that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And it's a great explanation, because I didn't know versus Googling it, you know, but
yeah.
I like to get first person's experience of like what it is and like how it's kind of evolved and where it came from. Because it's instantly, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a martial art for sure. And I always take that type of stuff as a martial art. You know what I mean? Like some people are like, oh, it's not a martial art. I'm like, wait till someone gets a hold of you and does it.
100%.
You know?
And like I said, it's like, you know, catch wrestling has been so widespread throughout the world. Like I really wish like there was someone, there is, I mean, the scientific wrestling, they've tried to do what the IBJJF has done for jiu-jitsu, but it's just like, for whatever reason, they just can't get a foothold to become as big as jiu-jitsu, because there is a lot of beauty and a lot of amazing technique within catch wrestling, but you know, there's too many sub styles, there's too many people with varying opinions and too many egos to just try to be under one umbrella, one unified rule set, one this and one that, and that everybody wants to do their own thing, kind of, you know. So
egos in combat sports?
Yeah.
No way.
Right?
Doesn't exist.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thunk that?
But yeah, like a lot of the stuff I do, even till this day, my double wrist locks and my like what we call the Americana, what's the Americana in jiu-jitsu, I don't do it. Even my Kimura, I don't do it the traditional way that I was taught from jiu-jitsu.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You know, the way those are two of the few things that I teach that are still very catch oriented. My foot lock, a lot of my straight ankle locks too are very catch oriented. I do my neck cranks for sure are still catch oriented. But yeah, there's a lot of things to offer that catch wrestling has to offer to the grappling world, and I just wish it was a lot a lot more known, and people knew more about it.
Yeah, more prevalent in the culture of
it is probably Jay. I've been around some catch wrestling. I've never done that, but would you say it's a little more hardcore, probably too, right, for the normal person? Because it's like hard. In jiu-jitsu, it's like, hey, you can do this at this rank. Catch wrestling, it's like we're doing it all. There's nothing out of neck cranks, all that. Yeah,
there's nothing. There's nothing illegal about what you can do. So, and and maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's why it's seen too hard of an art. Right. Like wrestling to me right now is too hard for me for my body. I love wrestling. I have wrestling classes, a couple times, at least once a week, and I want to join those classes, but it's just so hard on my body. And like, even judo to a degree, like I can't do judo. I haven't done judo consistently in over 10 years, maybe probably 12 years, because it just hurts too much to get thrown. Man. I hate getting thrown. Yeah, I don't care how well you know how to break fall. That break, I'm gonna break something in that break fall.
It's not gonna be a break fall anymore.
It's rough. No. My guys asked if we could have a judo guy come in sometime. I'd love to bring a judo guy in. I'm like, but one of these young guys is getting thrown. I am not the uki for that. Yep. No way. Not happening.
No, I watch enough Instagram reels going through Instagram, and there'll be judo stuff on there or whatever. And there's guys like they're throwing each other over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm like, nah, that's cool.
Yeah,
like, you can't explain how it feels either. Like we've all been hit by a good double leg and been taken down, and like that's nothing compared to
being thrown.
It's like different.
The way I've explained it before, it's like the feeling of getting in a car accident.
Yeah.
The whiplash effect and the slam of the body into the floor. That's how, like, I mean, if you've ever been in a car accident, it's pretty darn close.
Yeah. It's rough.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, hey, Jay, why don't we do this, man?
Yeah.
Shout out everything on how everyone can get to you. And anything you want, any sponsor, anything you want.
Okay.
Because what Chad and I do is we put everything in our show notes so everyone can click on it.
Awesome.
And that way people can get to it. I know you got some instructionals on BJJ Fanatics. So everyone out there, that'll be on the links in the show notes. You can click on it and it'll take you right to Jay's page and BJJ Fanatics amongst everything else. Awesome. So go ahead, Jay, get after it.
So honestly, the easiest way to get to me, I'm most active, is on Instagram. My Instagrams can also connect it to my Facebook. I have a link tree on my Instagram that has all of my pertinent information and links that you could contact me from. But it's just J Pages, JJCTA _AZ. That'll be the easiest way to get a hold of me. Let's see who else. I mean, shout out the sponsors. Gosh, the one that sticks out the most right now, would be Roll Bliss. Man, that's a company. They're out of Austin, Texas. They do a lot of custom gi and no gi work, and they sponsor a lot of up and coming athletes, like especially a lot of Tom DeBlass's girls and students. Like, you easily see their stuff on EBI and ADCC at the Emerald City Invitational, but definitely want to, a very special shout out to Roll Bliss and those guys, because they've taken really good care of me, with my gear, no gi, and they know I'm more of a no gi guy. So their no gi kits are amazing.
Their stuff's sweet looking too, because I went and looked at what they have, and they have like some geisha stuff. They have some colorful stuff, like some colorful rash guards and stuff like that. So,
and they'll do some one-off stuff too for you too, right?
Yep.
Nice.
I've had quite a few students do one-off gis, rash guards, and whatnot, and they the quality, honestly, like their shorts, like it's one of my favorites. It's super light. Like, I'll wear their shorts, to run errands, to work out, and just hang out. They're that comfortable.
These everyday shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
They've turned into everyday shorts. So, but yeah, that I couldn't thank them enough. Blue Label CBD. And they, it's another CBD company that's been trying to help me take care of my joints and my aches and pains and whatnot.
Yeah. It works, man.
But gosh, who else? I mean, honestly, sponsored, like, haven't had any active sponsors because I haven't been very active competing lately. But let me pull this up.
Too busy hanging out in Iceland.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah.
So, another shout out then. We're perfect. The Pilgrim Jiu Jitsu. So
there you go. Yeah.
He's another guy that takes care of me too. Like, honestly, the owner of Pilgrim Jiu Jitsu is a really good friend of mine. I first met him. His name's Greg Johnson. I first met him at the first Globetrotter camp I taught at. And he's one of my cabin mates. And, I remember him talking about doing this, running a camp, in different parts of the world. And, we've tried it in China once and that didn't work out. And we went to, then we went to Ireland was the first camp. And it was been going on since then, I think, 4 or 5 years already. So,
awesome.
Yeah, man, I've been truly honored, that he would have me as one of the coaches next to Croyler Gracie. Shout out to Croyler. He's such a sweetheart, of a guy. And, he's the only Gracie I could say that I think I'm close to. He's the only Gracie I'm close to. I would give that man the shirt off my back, but yeah, shout out to him. Blue Label CBD, Power X Core. I was yoga for BJJ for a while. I was sponsored by them. And O's Clothing, the guy that owns O's Clothing, he's actually my professor, Kyle's manager. So
nice,
cool.
Nice, very
yeah.
cool.
So, but yeah, those guys, want to shout out, and then Christian Graugard from Globetrotters, for always wanting, keeping me on the coaching staff and giving me that first start. Because honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be seeing the parts of the world, that I'm seeing. He gave me the opportunity to teach, and I just started networking from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think the last bit is just like with the Pilgrim Jiu Jitsu, we had, this year we have a Costa Rica camp coming up on in May on Memorial Day weekend.
Nice.
And we have Ireland camp in October. So this is going to be my last. It's going to be mine and Croyler's last year teaching in Ireland. 2023, they're going to have another pair of instructors, but Croyler and I are going to be teaching in Italy in 2023.
Wow. Nice.
So
very cool.
But yeah, no, shout out to them. I just want to give them a shout out for all the things they've done for me, and like the opportunities. And again, I wouldn't see the parts of the world, and I wouldn't be where I'm at in jiu-jitsu without them. So go to rollbliss.com for their gear, and pilgrimjujitsu.com and bjjglobetrotters.com, and sign up for one of their camps is, best way to, support them. And honestly, like, it's probably going to be the cheapest way you could experience another culture or another country,
Sure. Right.
So definitely hit them up, check them out. And I love all those guys. So.
Nice. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, Jay, thanks so much, man, for hanging out with us and
awesome.
Just, chilling
Thanks
and
for
having
having
fun.
me.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we really press we want people to be just educated and knowledged on, martial arts, jiu-jitsu, life, what it does and what we can do, just, change the world. So we're trying to do
absolutely.
a little bit at a time.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. That's all we can do.
For sure. Just a little bit at a time. Yep. Help someone out and get after it and go forward. So
awesome.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you so much, man.
Thank
it was
you.
So awesome hanging out with you. And we'll keep you posted when the show's going to drop and go from there. Cool.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Man, for sure.
Awesome
All right.
again. Thanks again for having me, guys.
Thanks,
Definitely.
brother.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right.
man. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thanks. You too,
Later.
man.
All right, bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.